Hello everyone and welcome back to another commentated game of Worms WMD. I'm your host Strix90. This is being commentated at 1.5 times speed. We have 3 players, Blue, Red, and Cyan. Blue and Cyan are a little bit difficult to tell apart. Cyan is a little bit lighter than Blue is. And in a second, we should be able to see the helmets for... Yeah, I believe Blue has a darker helmet on, more classic World War II helmet. This is an open map. I believe it's large double island. Theme is liberation. The scheme is a tailored set that I've made. It's very limited, but you can think of it like Pro Scheme with more dependency on things that are less random and less bazookas. So every player has between 3 and 5 bazookas, I think. I'm not sure. Everyone has the same amount, but it's somewhere between 3 and 5. Right now, the 3 players are just putting their worms down. A pretty good distribution across the board. Each player is only going to get 3 worms instead of 4. The timer until the water starts to rise is, instead of being 15 minutes, is 10 minutes. And worm health is set at 150 to account for the lost worm that they would have. There's no airstrikes or any of those sorts of things. This scheme is more, like I said, tailored to things that are less random, but also things that require a little bit more skill. So there's not, like I said before, an infinite amount of bazookas, but there is an infinite amount of normal grenades and other grenades that they'll get, such as gas grenades and so on. Cyan going for the first shot there. Not quite connecting all the way to Blue or Red at the top. Kind of getting pulled in by that magnet. Now Red has control on top of the building, pretty much the highest place in the entire map, and connecting a shot right on Blue, dropping him right down next to Cyan, doing 49 points of damage. That was a pretty good shot, accounting for the win there. Now Blue will have that worm that was just brought down. All the players are new to this scheme. They've not seen this scheme before, so they are going to have to kind of work with the punches, roll with the punches as it goes. Switching off of the sticky grenade, doing 19 points of damage and 45 to the opponent. I can understand wanting to keep the sticky grenade in the back pocket as the game goes on, like I said, because this is a new scheme for everyone. There's going to be the first 5 or so turns. It's going to be a little bit confusing. You're used to playing Pro Scheme, you don't want to put too many worms on the top, because those are prone to getting airstriked on the 3rd turn or so on. Third round. Cyan burrowing into the side, kind of upwards, trying to get to Red's other worm there. Now Red's going to have that worm that's all the way on the left side, which is going to be very prone to getting shot off the edge. Throwing a cluster right on spot of Blue, but only doing about 22 points of damage there. That was a great grenade by Red. So far, Red's had some good shots. Blue going for the jetpack, trying to get behind Red here. Can understand not wanting to go right for the punch, because you don't know if it's just going to hit the ceiling and then it's just going to fall and stay on that ledge. But I would have gone for a poke. I think a poke would have done it fine. I believe there's still an infinite amount of pokes. I don't think I changed that. It's a little bit of time for me here to talk about things that I've changed. This is the first game I'm playing on the PC. I'm able to control the camera, and it's a little bit jumpy because 2 things. It's at 1.5 times speed. It would be too long if it were normal. And because the game has a habit of throwing me back to whatever player has its turn. So I'm happy being able to play on the PC, because that means that on every other console I wouldn't have a huge player base to host a game with. Oftentimes you can't get a good full game, or I guess get people that want to stay on Xbox or PlayStation or Switch. So having a big play base like you might find on Steam, PC, is absolutely critical. And this way I can also, kill my worm and just commentate the entire game. So the The screen's a little bit jumpy because it likes to flick back to whatever player's currently having the turn. But even with that, I'm able to better concentrate on what's going on because I don't have to be playing and crafting and doing all those things. So I can just kind of zoom in and get the best details possible if you're playing or watching on a mobile device. Cyan going for mine there, doing 44 points of damage. That was a crafted weapon, so that isn't something that they have direct access to. I prefer, grenades. But if it's been crafted, that means some resources have been lost to try to create that. Currently, Cyan has the lead, and I believe it's blue, then red. Red going for another spot behind that blue worm, looking for a little bit of revenge there. Oh, it's red, then blue. But not by much. Looks like this is blue going for a... Now, there's a little piece of... Yeah, there was a little piece of debris there that I guess blue did not see. That's the thing about this game, is very specific. You have to be very careful. That's why I have the background kind of changed too, because it's sometimes a little bit easier to tell what's there. That wouldn't have been so obvious if you don't change your background. Cyan running out of time here. Blue's top worm. Currently holding a cluster grenade, switching to a gas. I don't know if that timer's enough. Yeah, it didn't look like that timer's enough, but luckily didn't gas his own worm. Back to blue. Before red's able to get revenge on blue here. Thinking about using a baseball bat, but I don't know if that angle is good enough. It's going to be very easy to miss that shot. Ultimately, just not going for that and teleporting out. And like I said, keep in mind, the timer for the water to start rising is actually quicker, so we only have about 4 minutes until this water starts to rise. Training shotgun here, knocking red off that ledge. Players also have the Luzi, as well as this training shotgun, as well as the minigun. They don't have the auto turret. They have a bunch of worm rope. Originally, this was supposed to be a cavern map. I picked a nice symmetrical map, but one of the players wanted an open map, and I saw no reason not to oblige. This wasn't a strictly competitive map. I just wanted it to be 2 people. Like I said, because this was the first game I'd ever hosted, actually ended up having like 6 people join, and I had no idea how to stop it. I had no idea how to even boot people until about 1 or 2 minutes in. So I ended up getting 3 people. In the future, probably be 2 people. And I'll make it a little bit more. Red going for a sticky grenade here, doing 26 points of damage to Cyan. Cyan's still having a healthy lead over everyone else. Next time, scheme will be better contoured. There'll be more magnets, more oil drums, because I don't think there's enough for this large of a map. You can only get large caverns. You can't get medium or small, which is really dumb. So you really have to be good with the worm rope. I believe that's Cyan doing 16 points of damage to blue. These cluster grenades have really had a bad rap so far. I'm thinking about taking them off because they do have that level of randomness that I'm trying to get rid of. Whereas, where's the cluster going to go? Starting the game off with only grenades might be interesting, actually. Every player gets their first turn only with grenades. And here we see a holy hand grenade. I don't know if this is going to work because it's right on the edge there. Blue finishing off his own worm, dealing about 3 to Cyan. We only have about 1 minute and 30 seconds until this water starts to rise. Players will be forced to have to take the high ground. Cyan switching to another worm, jetpacking up. Maybe getting a better angle up on red here. 6 seconds to make a turn. Missing the first shot, hitting the second. dropping red right to the bottom, doing 25 points of damage. I believe that's red's next worms down there. Oh, no, it's not. It's the one on the left side. That's right. What is red going to do here? Has a good wind advantage here to shoot to the right side, but ultimately not connecting that sign up on the top. Following up with blue. Oh, sorry about that. This is another low worm for blue. None of these oil drums have been hit. I don't think they even get hit all game. This is the worm sheep. Would have been a lot better on a cavern map. Probably better off if you just dismantle that. But you live and you learn. Like I said, there was 3 people in this game. It's not really competitive. Oh, it looks like that worm stuck there that Cyan has. It's forced to basically push through this wall. It's nothing more than an Uzi. I think there's 9 Uzis the players are given because Uzi's real weak, and I don't think you can ever have too many Uzis. They're never a good thing. You never start off a game and you're like, oh, awesome, I have 9 Uzis. Those are like the last thing you ever want to have. Always pretty much using a grenade before an Uzi, but I guess it has its situations. Especially if they're close to an oil drum. Red dealing damage to I don't know who, I think Cyan. Currently blue's turn. Going for a homing rocket. 14 seconds. 10. Getting that shot off at 7. And connecting right with Cyan. How many? 45. A perfect 45. Cyan's going to be a little bit stuck here. No problem. Easily able to get out. Going for the holy hand grenade. Has the wind advantage. Doesn't quite connect, doing only 21 points of damage there. Red's worm on the left. Almost connecting with Cyan. Blue's worm down there is toast if blue does not move. Pretty much on a pile of garbage right now. I'm not quite getting up, and blue's going to lose that worm. Now I believe it's only 1 worm left for blue, 2 for red, and 3 for Cyan. Like I said, it can be a really close game because if Cyan is juggling between 3 worms, that's 3 worms Cyan's going to have to protect. And that one that's pretty much in that hole is non-existent, can't help in any way, shape, or form. If you want to think of it like chess, it's kind of like a pawn that's on the same rank as another pawn, blocking the way. It's kind of can be thought of as not really in play. It's kind of lost. Going for the minigun, not a weapon you see very often. Gotta be really close with this shot. Make sure you don't hit the wall there. Probably one of the first time that Blues has ever used that minigun. You want to try to be closer to the opponent. Maybe even have more opponents. It's really good to push a group off the edge. Cyan just opening up more room here. Try to get a little higher. And now red throwing out this holy hand grenade. It's going to finish red off in the process and deal 63 points of damage right to Cyan. Now it's just a match between Cyan and blue. Like I said, this was a new scheme for everyone who's playing. So when you spawn in, you kind of feel like you know what the scheme's going to be, especially if you play pro a lot. And when you're thrown up with a new scheme, forces you to change everything. Blue accidentally throwing a grenade right on the same worm he had. Now going for cyan. Throwing out what looks to be like a cluster. Putting 4 seconds on it. Managing to get 2 of those clusters, landing on for 18 points of damage to Trooper. Blue's going to have the next turn. Same worm, obviously. I believe that it's going to be the one on the right, and then it's going to be that one that I was talking about before on the bottom that pretty much has no field advantage. Pretty much stuck down there. Wasting a turn unless cyan has another worm select. Going for the gas grenade, but ultimately it's just going to fall right at Blue's feet and actually manages to poison Blue. Going for a homing rocket here, right on Blue. 75 points of damage would be perfect. I think it's 45. Actually, 50. Oh, that's right, because there's a direct hit point of damage. Or maybe that's just from the gas. Who knows? And Blue going for a foam bomb. And fortunately going to land right at Blue's feet, ending the game with cyan as the victor. GG to everyone involved. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll be back with another game of Worms WMD next week. Peace.